think it would be cool to be one of those soccer icons, New Jersey guy.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to try and change the way New York thinks about soccer.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of What Are the Odds? As always, I am Robert Ferringo. That is Raphael Esparza, and we are Doc Sports. Happy Friday, May 30th. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to join us to discuss this weekend's biggest action. Before we get to that, I want to mention, go down in that description and take advantage of that $60 of free premium member picks at Doc Sports. How that works is there's a link down in the description. Click that. It will take you to Docs. You can then use that $60 towards any package for any handicapper in any sport that you want. So, for instance, I know, Raphael, you have a 5-unit WNBA total today. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. I also have a 7-unit WNBA side going today. You can get both of our top WNBA picks absolutely free using that free $60 link. Or maybe you don't like the WNBA. You know, I'm not going to knock you for that. Use that $60 towards NBA, hockey, baseball, Champions League finalists tomorrow, which we are going to get to. So really,
UFL tonight. We have UFL football tonight as well.
Big UFL action going tonight. So use that towards whatever you need. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to the Doc Sports YouTube channel, where you have daily free pick articles along with any number of very interesting, entertaining, and informative videos going all the time. Thank you to Jacob Epstein, our new member that I see, who is joining us after watching Docs Daily that I was just on. So Raphael, yeah, got some winding down that we're doing in the NBA and NHL, but still some interesting numbers. Yesterday, for instance, Knicks open as a 6-point home favorite. All right, backs against the wall, down 3-1. Everyone and their sister was on Indiana. That number drops down to 4, where it closed, and then the Knicks run them out of Madison Square Garden. Are you surprised to only see the number at -4 for the Pacers on Saturday? They're still up 3-2. They're still obviously the better team in the series, and they just got their butts whooped and are going to be looking for a little revenge. I kind of was expecting that number to be closer to 5.5. What are your thoughts about where it is and why it's there?
I thought 4.5 would be the better number. You can kill both sides on that one, but this one opened up 3.5, quickly opened up to 4, and now it's come down in a couple of shops back to 3.5. I don't understand. I mean, can a team just have a bad game? That's what Indiana had yesterday. They had a bad game yesterday. The defense bothered them. They weren't shooting the ball well. The Knicks crowd was crazy. It's just a bad game. You still have to go home. You still get to go home with Pat McAfee grabbing a mic and saying stupid stuff, and you're in front of your home crowd to take care of business there. So I am a little shocked that it wasn't 4.5. Maybe moved up to 5 by now. So I think there's fantastic value if you can get to 3.5. Caesars has at 3.5. Pretty much everyone else has 4. I would say maybe wait to see if it moves back to 3.5. But I think tomorrow afternoon, I think that's when all the Pacer money will come in, and that's when I probably will see 4.5. I don't know if we'll see 5, but I think we'll see 4.5. I would be shocked if we see 5. But at the same time, I think that's why the total has come down, because I think people are betting Knicks money right now, and it's just like yesterday. If you like the Knicks, bet the under. If you like the Pacers, they're going to need a lot of offense like they've had throughout the playoffs. So Pacers over, Knicks under. So the total has dropped to almost two solid points.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this yesterday on Docs Daily. All the value is with the Pacers. The Pacers are the better team, and I agree with you. One game, one loss does not change the overall calculus of this series. The Pacers are the better team. They have been the better team throughout the playoffs, and they are going to advance. Now, I also said yesterday on Docs Daily that despite all the value being with getting the better team and the points, I'm not betting against the Knicks, because we've seen them do that at all stages of this postseason. We have seen them blow teams out in MSG. As you mentioned, the crowd gets into it, the ball gets rolling downhill, and they just have a big game. And what I saw from Indiana was a team that kind of knows where they stand. They're like, okay, we're up 3-1. We get the next game in our own barn. If we have to come back here, we basically got 2 bites at the apple. They look like a team that did not want to max out energy-wise yesterday, where the Knicks had to. They didn't really have a choice. So I think Indiana finishes them off tomorrow. Let's assume that that's right. Let's assume that because it sounds like we both kind of like Indiana here. Let's assume that that's right and that they win, and that sets up the Indiana OKC final. Where do you see the number being in game one of that series?
Series price is OKC minus $7 if it's OKC Indiana. And if it is OKC and the Knicks, then it could be one of the weirdest series prices. We can see close to minus
1,100. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you are OKC, you are begging for another upset for the Knicks. Because boy, if the Knicks win this series, OKC might just gently sweep them 4-1 because they only play 7 guys, so they're going to be gassed out when they play Oklahoma City. So I think OKC wipes the floor if it's Knicks. A game one, if it's Knicks and Pacers, I mean, we're all rested. You kind of make it probably like around a 6-7, just because of what they can do at home in their defense. The only thing that scares me is I think the Pacers' offense can go toe to toe with their offense, and their bench depth can actually match their bench depth. So if you put up like an 8 or 9 that we saw with Denver, I think it's just going to get lopsided action on that one. So I think they're going to maybe come down a point like we saw with Denver and stuff. I wouldn't be shocked if you see like maybe a solid 7 be posted.
I actually kind of disagree with you here. I think it's going to be closer to 8.5. Just because of what you mentioned. They have the rest advantage. I think the books know that I think it's pretty obvious to the sports books, and it should be obvious to anyone that watches or follows the NBA and the NBA playoffs this year, that Oklahoma City is the best team. They're going to win the championship. Okay. Like that's going to happen. And if you look back at what Oklahoma City was as a home favorite in the opening rounds of their first series, game 1 against Memphis, minus 13. Game 1 against Denver, minus 10.5. Game 1 against Minnesota, now to your point, they were only minus 7, right? But they wrecked in that game, and then they were 8.5, 9.5 point favorites the rest of the way. I think the books are going to stake their claim with Oklahoma City and say, you got to bet against us. So I think that number is going to be closer to 8.5, 9. And also going back to what we talked about with the series price with the Knicks, do you think that because it's New York and you're just going to get a lot of that dumb New York money, that Knicks fan money, that actually where the true series price would probably be closer to minus 1,100, that it might actually stay at like minus 900 because there's going to be those Knicks fans that are just like plus 600. Yeah, this is our year. We're going to win it. And the books aren't going to want to like leverage themselves too much there.
Yeah, I agree. So, because I think more money comes in if Knicks than Pacers. No disrespect to Indiana and Indiana bettors. They've been a better team, but I just think Nick and MSG, we had to throw in MSG money coming in because you figure just that in case would probably push that one. But you mean you've been discussing this for months. OKC's been the best team in the league. Yeah. Just give them the ship because I feel bad. I'm excited for the series. I think we have great point guard matchup if it's Pacers and OKC, bench versus bench. I would like to see Turner can go toe to toe with the big white guy that the OKC has. They're both lengthy and all that, so it's not going to be a disadvantage. I kind of like this matchup, but it's going to get bad TV ratings. And everyone's going to bash the NBA. Oh, the NBA sucks. They're going to TV ratings, but it is what it is.
I mean, I'm not going to go too far off into the weeds here, but Adam Silver's whole thing has been pushing for parity. Yeah. Every decision that he's made he is trying to follow more of the NFL model with the NBA, where he looks at it and says, hey, when you get into the AFC NFC championship game, whether or not your team's playing, you're still watching because you're a football fan. And it's true. Same thing with the Super Bowl, right? He is trying to lay those expectations at the NBA, where it doesn't matter if you're a Cavaliers fan, doesn't matter if you're a Lakers fan. It's the NBA Finals, so we expect you to watch. But I think reality is going to hit him when it's Oklahoma City versus Indiana, 2 small market teams that are plenty fun to watch. I got to tell you, if you like basketball, you really should like both of these teams. And again, the SGA versus Halliburton matchup, honestly, that's worth the price of admission right there if they get it. Well, I agree with you. I think the numbers will be down. I think the handle will be down for the sports books. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to lie even a little bit. I'm ready for the NBA to be done, so I don't care. I don't care who goes to the finals. I don't care who wins the finals. Let's just get the sport over with. Speaking of let's just get the sport over with, NHL. Edmonton continues their ascent, won convincingly again last night, setting up the rare Stanley Cup rematch. Now, I was able to get Detroit Lenny with this one in Doc's Daily, Raphael. I'm going to try and get it with you. This is only the second rematch in the Stanley Cup Finals in 40 years.
That blows my way. I saw that.
Do you know what the other one was?
No, I don't know, but I read that, but I didn't have the answer to the question.
It was 2008-2009, Detroit Red Wings against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And what's really interesting about that, not only the fact that it doesn't happen very often, and it really doesn't happen often in any
sport.
Right. Like World Series, Super Bowl, you don't see this very often, is that it was a similar dynamic in that Detroit-Pittsburgh back-to-back meetings where Detroit was the veteran team, powerhouse team. Pittsburgh had the young guns. That was Malkin and Crosby, like young Sidney Crosby going there. Detroit and their veterans won the first championship in 2008, but in the rematch in 2009, Pittsburgh, the young guns, took them to Game 7 and ended up winning the championship. So what do you think about this rematch? What do you think about this matchup? Just take us through it.
My original gut said I like Edmonton. I just think they're a hotter team right now, even though Florida has just been dominating. Their defense has been hot. Goalie's been hot. They've been hitting all over the place, but just Edmonton's flow coming into this matchup, I was leaning towards Edmonton. Now, so is everybody else. There's one book that has a series price at -130 now. So now you tell me I can get +110 on the defending champs who they don't care if they're on the road. They have won some really, really big road games easily. We're talking 7. They put a 7 spot on the road a couple of times this year. So it doesn't. I'm torn. Like I said, my original gut when it was finally over yesterday, and I was doing like, oh, it's probably gonna be close to a pick'em series price. I'll lean towards the hotter team right now, but the money continues to come in on Edmonton at series price. How do I not say, hey, you know what? If I'm going to get the Panthers at +115, the series price, where I can middle games 4, 5, and 6 or whatever I need to, it's going to be a nice chunk of change that I can make. I'm just excited. I think it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic matchup. I'm still leaning towards Edmonton, but again, the money line price is making me double check myself.
So yeah, the opening line in Game 1 has Edmonton -30, Florida +110. But, Brian Chu in the comments, thank you for taking time out of your day. Brian says, why get this sport over with? Brian, this is more my betting philosophy. If you're not familiar with me and how I like to bet, at this point in these sports, both the NBA finals and the NHL finals, I just don't feel like there's a lot of good value. Okay. Give me a Tuesday night in February, and I can find a line or a number or a game or a situation with more value than what we're betting on in the NHL finals right now. At this point, hey, maybe you're locked in and you just have a good vibe on it. But at this point, I feel like it's more guessing than handicapping. And the reason I feel that way is if you look at what the series price is in the Stanley Cup final at most of the sports books, it's Florida -110 and Edmonton -110. Even the sports books and the odds makers are saying, we don't know who the better team is. We don't know who's going to win. Go ahead and bet it with no advantage on your side. On top of that, with sports like the NBA and NHL, Raphael and we start our work before the season, right? So we've been looking at these teams and breaking things down in these sports since September to be ready for October. And now we're 9 months in. So it's just time to kind of turn the page and go to more high value situations like MLB, early season WNBA, summer soccer, to take advantage of some of those weaker lines in other sports rather than these more mainstream sports that everybody wants to bet. And I'm this way in everything. Like when the World Series comes along and we're doing the show with Raphael, I'm going to be like, I can't wait for baseball to be over because I think there's more value today on Friday, May 30th with some of the numbers that are on the board. There's way more money to be made today with these games and numbers than there will be in the World Series when you're down to 2 teams, 1 number, 1 game. Well,
I'll piggyback with the Robert on this one. I 110% agree with it. I get so much negative feedback when I pass on a playoff game because I see no value on that one playoff game. If I made Pacers -4 and the number came out 4, well, why am I going to release 4 or +4 when my number is exactly what the sports book gave out? There's no value out there. I'm not going to put, there's game 6 today. I'm going to put a big unit play on it just because I want to put a big unit play, and that's the only thing on TV. I don't look that way. I know some people do in some other companies. That's fine. That's their game. I don't look at it that way. I look at it, what's my number that I made the game? B, do I see value? Is my number off or is my number correct? And maybe the books are off. Okay, now I'm going to release something. How do I like this playing? And just go down step by step by step. So if there's just one game, I can guarantee you I'm passing tomorrow in the NBA playoffs because there's no value. I made the total. I was a half a point wrong on the total, and I nailed the number of the game correctly. Now, if it's going to move 3 points overnight, then we're talking something differently. But I agree with Fred. Sometimes there's just no value right there. So just pass and go for another game. You don't have to put a unit or a bet or whatever just because there's something on TV.
Yeah, I agree. We're professionals. We've been doing this. Raphael and I both started in 2006. So we've been doing this pretty much every day for 19 years. We don't bet just to bet. You don't get hero points for winning a bet because it's a Super Bowl bet, or hero points for winning because it's a Stanley Cup Finals bet. That money spends the same as, my bet on the Ohio Valley Conference college basketball in, early January on a Wednesday. It's about finding value. And I understand that clients and bettors, they want action just because they want action. That's fine if you're looking at this as a form of entertainment, as you should be, and you have minimal expectations. But if you're trying to sustain long-term profit, and for me, it's not about being entertained, it's about what's fun. And for me, winning is fun. And if for you find winning and making money and slowly and steadily building that bankroll up fun, then I just feel like there's some better situations out there. But that's why at Docs we have 13 different handicappers who all have their different philosophies and different styles. Some guys let it rip and prefer to have only one game to focus in on. But that's not where I'm at. Where I'm at, Raphael, is I see a little bit more value in the baseball card. I love this weekend's series, okay? Because I feel like we have a good mix of like shiny distractions over here where everyone's going to be looking at and talking about. And then there's the situations over here where we're going to make a lot of money. We're going to start with the shiny distraction series, the Dodgers and the Yankees, little World Series rematch. I saw the Dodgers were minus 150 on the series price and plus 120 for the Yankees. However, aren't the Yankees favored in game one today? Can you explain the dynamic going on behind these numbers?
This was weird. Let's face it, Max Deep Fried is on the mound tonight. But I saw this stat. The Dodgers are a home underdog for the first time in 365 days. The last time they were home underdogs was against the Atlanta Braves. You know who was pitching that day? Max Deep Fried. So I just love that stat. Oh, and the Dodgers won that game. I think it was 5-1 or 4-1. I know the Dodgers won that one. So this was completely puzzled. I know the Yankees are a nice team, but I just think that division is so weak this year. Everyone was pumped up Boston and Toronto, and Baltimore already fired.
Isn't Tampa Bay in second place? Tampa Bay is in second place, aren't they?
So it was a little confusing on this number. That's why I saw the series price. I understood why the Yankees are the favorite tonight because they got the best pitcher going. It didn't matter home, away. I don't care. Max is Mad Max right now. He's the original Mad Max than Scherzer right now. I understand it, but there's value, I think, with the Dodgers and the series price. And I'll jump a little bit. That's why I think there's value on the Reds side. The game's getting ready to go off. The Reds just won because the Cubs are going to a bullpen game tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So if you have a bullpen game now and Colin Ray today, which the wind is shifted this morning and now it's blowing out a little bit. It went from 7.5 to almost 9.5 the total. The Reds can hit the ball. So if you steal today's game and now the Cubs have a bullpen game, why am I getting plus 185 on the Reds in some shops? There's a lot of plus money that I think there's really good value this weekend in baseball.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You have Andrew Abbott on the mound today also, who has been phenomenal. I think he has a 0.70 ERA over his last 5 starts. Another underdog that I'm looking at this weekend are the Nationals going to Arizona. Today they're plus 185. That's close to what their series price is for this. Arizona's a mess. They just lost a series to the Pirates, who are pathetic, giving up 19 runs to the lowest scoring team in the majors in back-to-back games. They got beat 10-1, I think it was yesterday, against Paul Skeens. They blew the game before that. They had a 6-2 lead, I think, going into the 7th or 8th inning in that game. Arizona's not playing very good baseball right now. And if you look, Washington's 4 games below 500. They're very quietly a solid underdog value team. And I'm glad you pointed out Cincinnati because I know that they're below water right now for the season for a $100 better betting all their games. But Cincinnati is a team that I think is going to pay out. I think they're going to be flirting with 500 all season, and I think they're going to be priced as an underdog all season. So yeah, the Nationals and the Reds are two teams to look at for underdog value. Is there anything else that jumped out at you about this weekend's action? Because I love it. I love a lot of these matchups.
If my favorite first name Zebby Matthews can maybe keep the close game against Minnesota. I thought the Twins were a nice plus money on the weekend series. The Mariners can't hit all of a sudden. Granted, bet their game's over at home because 12 out of the last 14 home games have gone over the total. So we've been seeing a lot of runs on opponents, not them. But I was leaning towards taking the Twins on the series price. And if you guys are new to the show, I love betting the series price. I don't release it because I don't want customers, I don't get it, blah, 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 blah. But I love betting weekend series prices because it's so good because Sunday, most of the games are early, so you can get a better hedge number than if they were late and all that. So I was leaning towards maybe looking at the Twins on the road against the Mariners, especially if there's left-handed pitching because the Mariners can't hit lefties at all.
Yeah, you say the Mariners can't hit all of a sudden. They've been able to hit since Ichiro left.
No, they were hitting a couple months ago. They were smacking the ball. They were averaging like almost 5 runs a game, and then all of a sudden their bats went quiet.
Okay, for me, I'm going to turn into super square guy for a minute, but I don't care. I love how a lot of this matches up. We have Pittsburgh, who did what they did against Arizona. Arizona is a team that's just throwing up on itself right now. Now Pittsburgh's going to San Diego, where they are outmatched all weekend. San Francisco just got swept. Now they get to go play a Miami team that is just in a complete and total tailspin. Oh, by the way, the A's lost again yesterday. They are now 3-18 in their last 21. Bet against the A's every single day. The Rockies, their -1.5 run line today is below that -150 threshold that we say automatic. It's automatic. If Colorado's opponent is -1.5 below -150, it's an automatic play. They're there again today against the Mets. And then we have the Angels, who have played above their heads, coming off a big series against the Yankees, going into Cleveland to face an Indians team that played at Minnesota, 4 games at Detroit, and then just played the Dodgers. So 3 big-time series in a row. Now they got the Angels walking into their thing. I think a lot of these series are set up for absolute bloodbaths. We have interesting series like that Yankees-Dodgers, Braves-Red Sox, Detroit-Kansas City, where people will have more focus nationally. But if you want to make money, I think that there are going to be some ass kickings this weekend. And those are 5 series where I expect those teams to win today. If they don't, if Pittsburgh pulls an upset today or Colorado pulls an upset today, you absolutely want to double down tomorrow because none of those 5 teams, Pittsburgh, Miami, Colorado, the Angels, or the A's, none of those 5 teams are winning any of these series. So bet accordingly.
A little bit shocked that money, Luis Ortiz, that you mentioned the Angels game. That's what overnight opened up at -150, and I'm looking at the live. There's a -140 and a couple -138s on this one. It's come down, so I'm with you. This game was one of my games I had circled before the numbers came out as one maybe a possible play for me, just because I knew how the Angels have all of a sudden their high is over with, and now they can't hit, and Trout's coming back. I think this I think it actually messes up their lineup the first couple of games when Trout comes back. So I was looking at that. But if this number continues to drop, if I can get -135 or lower, I'm going to take Ortiz and the Guardians today.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like Soriano, it's Soriano versus Ortiz. Like neither one of those pitchers does anything for me. Soriano has the lower ERA. So people that just don't know either one of these pitchers, they'll gravitate money towards the Angels because their pitcher is better. But the Angels aren't any good. They really are. I'm sorry. They got off to an 8-4 start to the season, and they had that weird sweep of the Dodgers, right? But other than those 2 instances of competence from the Angels, they are 14-26 in their other 40 games with 2 series wins. That's it. They're a bad baseball team. And like I said, they're going on the road in a letdown spot after getting big crowds at home for the Yankees, playing 2 games that came down to the final at bat that were decided by 1 run. Total letdown spot. I would not be surprised if they got swept this weekend. So, all right, Raphael, we're going to change gears here for a second. And actually, the biggest sports betting, I don't want to say opportunity, that makes it sound like free money, right? But the biggest sports betting event in the world this weekend is going to be tomorrow's Champions League final between Inter Milan and PSG. This is soccer for those of you that didn't know any of the words that I just said in the previous sentence. But the Champions League final, it's the Super Bowl of World Club Soccer, Super Bowl on steroids, really. I know that you are a soccer handicapper. You release all year round. I do intermittently. I will have a play on this game and have a limited summer soccer release. But why don't you take us through these two teams, this matchup, and these numbers?
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting because both teams come really red hot in this matchup. I mean, PSG is winning 4 straight. Inter Milan hasn't lost a game. I think they drew a couple of games there. I think they've only lost 1 game in their last 10. So it's gonna be very interesting. Meaning, if you like goals, this could be your game. I wouldn't shock me if you see a 2-1, 3-1 type of game. Both teams are gonna hit the back of the net. So check BTTS. That means both teams to score. Check that price up there. It's anywhere between -125, -130. The game is, I'm leaning towards PSG on this one, but there's so much betting opportunities, not betting the 3-way or the total itself. I already mentioned both teams to score. Inter Milan, their corners is 3.5. Really? 3.5? Their last 6 games, they're averaging almost 6 corners a game. Why are you pushing 3.5? I'll lay the juice at -130 on this one. I think Inter Milan is going to have a lot of scoring chances. They're going to want to put pressure on PSG's back line, so don't think they're going to sleep on that one. So 3.5 is a bad number on that one, but I think it's going to be a fun matchup. I think we're going to see goals. Am I saying take the over at 2.5? I would lean towards that. It would not shock me if we see 3 or more goals hit the net. I don't think we're going to see a dud of a 0-0 extra time penalty, whatever. I think we're going to see a fun game, just the way PSG has played. I mean, they just scored 6 goals in their last 2 games. They're going to want to put pressure and put the ball in the net early.
Can you, for the uninitiated, can you explain to the people that are watching, like, just how big of a worldwide sporting event this Champions League final is?
It's funny. I was in Costa Rica, a couple of years ago during it was like second week of Champions League soccer. So it was a whole bunch of games going, and they asked me to help trade that day. Go in the office, I'm trading. That trading day that I did, and just that Champions League, it was a Tuesday matches, all Tuesday matches. That Champions League was probably 5 times of an NFL week Sunday game. It was just crazy money coming. People are like, oh, the NFL's king, NFL rules. No one's come close. No, Champions League, English Premier League soccer, betting handle is bigger than week 1's and a lot of weeks of the NFL. Champions League, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, it's nuts. It is completely nuts in worldwide sports books. Not here in the States, because you're going to say, oh, I go to the book and instead on Champions League. That's because here in the States, we don't really push globally soccer. I'm talking globally. I'm not talking statewide. But soccer is king of kings when it comes to sports betting handling worldwide, not just here in the States, worldwide. And I witnessed it. I never seen anything as crazy. Well, second, that doesn't come close to creating an election here, but that's totally different. That's totally different. But soccer is nuts when you go to a global book and moving numbers and creating numbers there.
Yeah, I mean, if you like sports and you like betting and you just like spectacle, the game's at 3:00 Eastern on Saturday. I check it out. Even if you're not a big soccer guy, it is worth it just to be part of something that, as I mentioned, this is going to be the biggest event in the world tomorrow. Not just in the sporting world, but everyone not everyone, but more than anything else on the planet, more people are going to be watching this event than anything else. So, you and I like Triple Crown horse racing and things like that because of the spectacle of it. That's the Super Bowl. So if you appreciate that type of thing, like, you should definitely watch it. It's also a very interesting matchup. Kylian Mbappe is, if you don't know the name, he is the next Messi. Him and Lamine Yamal, the 2 up-and-coming superhero soccer players. Kylian Mbappe is probably the best player on the planet right now, arguably. He's in the top 5, but he left PSG last summer, and that was a huge, huge deal. Like, think LeBron James leaving the Cavaliers times 100, okay? So Mbappe leaves PSG, and the year after he leaves, here they are in the Champions League final, favored to win. Okay. On the other side, this Inter Milan, they have kind of barnstormed their way through this. They beat Bayern Munich out of Germany, one of the top clubs in the world, and they beat Real Madrid, the team that was probably favored to win the Champions League, the team I thought was going to be the Champions League winner. And just an absolutely thrilling, shocking, massive upset semifinal.
They beat Barcelona. They put 4 goals on
Barcelona. Excuse me, Barcelona. That's what I meant. Not Real Madrid. They beat Barcelona. That's what it was. Barcelona, who I thought was going to win it all, who has the best offense in soccer right now, and Inter beat them at their own game, outscored them. So the Italian side, the French side, we have a much older team. This Inter team, the average age of their players is like 30 years old. This PSG team, the average age is around 24 and a half years old. So it's very similar to that dynamic that we talked about with Florida and Edmonton and the NHL Finals or the Stanley Cup Finals. We have the veteran team going up against the hot newcomers. And it's a one-game winner-take-all thing, kind of like the Super Bowl. So, again, I will have a play in this game because I love the value, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But, Raphael, can you talk a little bit about the number in this game and if you see anything that you like either side? I'm seeing PSG as a plus 115 favorite. Inter Milan is a plus 235 favorite, and the draw is also plus 235. So you're getting better than 2-1 on either the draw or Inter versus PSG. Do you think they deserve to be favored by that much?
Yes. In championship games, I always tell customers and bettors and stuff like that, look for host a cup. So then you don't have to worry about extra time and penalty kicks. Right now, PSG is minus 160. It is low as minus 150. I think BetMGM has minus 150. Minus 160 is FanDuel and DraftKings. I would lay it if you like PSG. If you think they're going to win on that because of their youth and not their style of play, lay the minus 160. So then you don't have to worry about, if you bet the 3-way line and you're one of those customers, I thought I just got to win and it's a tie. I don't get my blah, blah, blah. Host a cup. Then you don't have to worry about extra time, penalty kicks, whatever. Host a cup is a great option for championship games. Like I said, Champions League, World Cup, Euro Cup, all those championship games. Just bet the host a cup if the price is right. Sometimes it's minus $2, and I wouldn't. I think this one, if you can get minus 150, I think PSG price is really good. I think the total at 2.5 is really good as well, because I think we're going to see goals hit the back of the net. We've seen it all between these two teams. Like I said, Inter Milan put up 4 against Barcelona. I mean, and the PSG kind of plays the same type of ball as Barcelona does. So I would not be shocked if you see a 2-1, 3-1 type of game on this one. So I think that there's value on the over as well.
I still can't believe Barcelona lost, but I'm also kind of glad that they did because I feel like the number would be massive. Barcelona would be like minus 180 on the 3-way line in this game.
Because even when Inter Milan drew to Lazio, they were down 2-1 pretty much the whole second half, and they got that late goal to get the draw. But again, that total was 2.5, and the juice was on the under. So they can put pressure on the back line and score.
All right, well, that's it. You got a free play to get the people out of here. We have run overtime. We got a big weekend, as we mentioned. We got NBA, Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow. A lot of great baseball, a lot of ripe opportunities. And we have this European Championship. We also have WNBA action going all weekend long. Is there UFC this weekend, Raphael?
Yep, the UFC, even though the main card events.
So much for the down season with no football. But you got a free play for the people?
Yeah, I'm kind of upset that Macy Barber couldn't make weight today for UFC for the main event. But my free play is in the WNBA. It's one of the late games. The Aces are playing in Las Vegas, and you know who comes back today in Las Vegas? Casey Plum. She comes back to Vegas where she used to play and won a championship there, and she has a Sparks jersey on. So I'm going to take both teams to score over 77.5 points, minus 3 nickels. Everyone has this prop bet, so don't be texting me or coming, I can't find it. Look under game props or game lines. Just scroll down. It's all there. Every book carries this one. Aces allowed 102 points their last game against Seattle. That's right. They gave up 102 points a game. You don't think Plum and the Sparks are going to want to put up some points against a defense? It's not like we've seen in years past for the Aces. Sparks' last 5 games, their D has allowed 85 points a game. I think both teams hit the high 80s in this one.
Nice. All right. My free play is a game that we already talked about a little bit. This is for Friday. I'm taking Cleveland. Take them on the minus 145. Also take them on the run line and get that plus money. I don't think the Angels are very good. I think they're in a letdown spot. And I think Cleveland, after playing a lot of really top-tier competition in recent weeks. They're going to enjoy having a team to really just beat up on this weekend. I think it starts tonight. So, all right, that's it for What Are the Odds. Be sure to check back next Friday again for our next show. He is Raphael Esparza. I'm Robert Ferringo. We are Doc Sports. Carpe diem, and good luck.